Again, on Learning Objective 1.3, Objectives for Retail Businesses, we're looking at financial objectives. And as mentioned before, these objectives are based on financial performance of a business. And this lesson is going to focus on increasing profit, C, and reducing cost, D. Continuing the learning intention for Objective 1.3, which is suggesting different types of financial objectives for retailers. Here we're going to look at knowing how retailers reduce costs and being able to explain how and why they use them and the impact it has on their business performance. We're going to also apply it to a number of case studies. The vocabulary today will be reduced costs, brand loyalty, millennials and pre-tax profits, and you need to look those up as one of the tasks. So the criteria to show that you've met the lesson objectives is so that you can calculate profit for a retailer using revenue and costs, that you know how to describe reducing retail cost methods, and you can explain how a retailer can improve their financial performance. The careers focus at the bottom, we've got training, brokerage officer, pet shop assistant and newsagent. Here's your work list for financial objectives lesson 7, and by a fluke there are 7 main topics to go through. You've got a sales revenue starter task, then Green Meadows Limited case study, then a quick question about strong brands, strong prices and strong customer loyalty. You get the gist. Then you've got JD Sports and Dixons as 2 case studies. Then we're looking at methods to reduce costs, and then an overall task 7 is pretty much all the financial objectives where you can do a little revision task. Increasing profit. Most businesses want to do more than just survive. They want to make a profit and lots of it. They want to make as much as possible. Increasing profit is different from increasing revenue, as profit is what remains after all the costs of running the business have been met. Let's look at this formula. Sales revenue minus costs equals profit. Increasing profit is possibly the main objective for most businesses and entrepreneurs. After all, why would you run a business or invest in a business if there is not going to be a worthwhile cash return? Profits can be increased through increasing revenues and/or reducing costs. Task 1. A local shop has sold 500 products at £10 each. It costs them £4 to make each product. How much profit have they made? So let's put that formula into action. You've got to calculate the sales revenue, the total sales revenue, and then you've got to calculate the total costs, and then when you've got those 2 total figures you subtract them and you have your answer, and write your answer with a sentence whether they have or haven't made profit. Task 2. Green Meadows Limited is a garden centre with 1 outlet located in Shropshire. The graph below shows the financial data for 2018 and 2019. Let's have a look at the graph. We've got 2018 and 2019, both have got 2 sets of data for each year. The dark red is showing sales revenue, so for 2018 that's looking at 120,000 for revenue, and if you look at the slightly lighter reddish pinkish colour, that's looking at 35,000. You can read the figures for 2019. Your questions. Number 1. Identify the form of ownership of Green Meadows Ltd. The clue's in the name. Question 2. Explain the difference between revenue and profit. That was literally discussed on the last slide, and it's got something to do with costs. So you work that out then. Question 3. Green Meadows set the following objectives for 2019. Increase sales revenue by 10%. How much would their total sales revenue target be? So you're looking at their 2019. Green Meadows set the following objective 2019. We're looking at their figure, we're going across, we're looking at it at 130,000, and we need to know that they want to increase it by 10%. So we look back at the 2018. we've got to find out what 10% is of 2018 and then see if they added it on and achieved it in 2019. Second part to question 3. Increase profit by 10% was their other financial objective for 2019. How much would their profit target be? Now, I appreciate you looking at the actual results, but these aren't the targets, so we don't know whether they've met the target, below the target or above the target. So you now need to do the similar calculation that you've done for sales revenue, but this time you're using the lower figures, you're using the 35,000 and 40,000. And question 4. Explain possible reasons for the financial performance of Green Meadows Limited. Because we're looking at the sales revenue figures and the massive difference in their profit figures. So we need to go back over potentially the last lesson, lesson 6, and look at what were the other ways they could be doing in order to improve this financial performance and maybe do something about that gap. Can't say anything more because that's probably going to give the game away. When a retailer wishes to increase profit, it may seem that the easiest way to this is to simply raise its prices. However, business is not as simple as this, as shoppers are not stupid. Most shoppers act rationally and will shop elsewhere if a retailer raises prices. Saying that, some businesses can get away with raising prices, as they may have a strong brand, be the market leader, or have little competition. Task 3. Do some internet research to find an example where prices have gone up by a retailer, but customers remain loyal to that brand. JD Sports rewarded for focus on millennials. A focus on younger consumers has helped JD Sports to buck the retail gloom and report record results. The sportswear retailer said pre-tax profits rose 15.4% to 339.9 million in the year to 2nd of February, with revenues jumping 49.2% to £4.7 billion. Executive Chairman Peter Cowgill told BBC News, "The business has stayed very much in tune with the millennials. This is in terms of providing customer experience and customer focus. The brand has expanded worldwide across Europe, Asia Pacific and the US." The results show that standing out in a crowded market with exclusive products, a unique proposition and placing the experiences at the heart of the store is a winning formula in today's digital age. Despite the challenging conditions on the high street, retailers who continue to thrive are those that have embraced change, invested in digital and listened to their customers to keep products fresh and desirable. The sports retailer is really focusing on its brand and making sure it has a tight focus on its products and really responding to what its customers actually want. The source comes from BBC News. Here's your questions on the JD Sports case study. Number 1, find out what is meant by the term millennials. Question 2, what is meant by pre-tax profits? Remember, both answers need to be your own writing, no copy and pasting. Question 3, identify 2 financial objectives included in the first paragraph on the JD Sports case study from the last slide. Question 4, using the information in the article on the last slide and through further online research, so that's your own work, explain why JD Sports achieved its financial results. So you can find a reason or 2 on the last slide, but you need to add a reason or 2 as well, which is your independent work. Dixon Carphone profits jump 19%. Profits at Dixon Carphone have jumped 19% after a rise in sales of phones and domestic appliances in its home market. In the 6 months to 29th of October, pre-tax profits climbed to £144 million, while sales rose 4% to £4.9 billion. We have been focusing on reducing our fixed cost base, said Seb James, Group Chief Executive. Dixon Carphone reported growth in all its main divisions, including a 23% jump in sales in Nordic countries. Sales were also positive in its core markets, the UK and Ireland, where it trades under the brands Currys, PC World and Carphone Warehouse. That was partly driven by higher sales of mobiles and consumer electronics, as well as a plan to reduce store numbers. The company aims to close 134 outlets while it rolls out electrical superstores that merge its three main brands. Source comes from BBC Business. Question 1. Comment on how well Dixons Carphone have performed, using the last slide, the case study, as your source of information. You should aim to write at least 2 extended sentences. Question 2. Identify the factors that affected the profits of Dixons Carphone. Now, in the article, they talk about the actions. These are the factors, the actions that have positively and negatively affected their sales and their profits. Reducing costs. Remember the calculation to calculate profit. Sales revenue minus costs equals profit. A retail business can increase its profit by keeping the same sales revenue but reducing its costs. The article earlier on Dixons Carphone shows how reducing costs can increase profits. Many large retail businesses will often look to reduce their costs in an attempt to increase profits. Task 6. Currys has sold 50 washing machines at £350 each, and PC World, who are the same business, sold 75 laptops at £200 each. It cost them £150 to make each washing machine and £95 to make each laptop. We're going to say make, they source them. For the sake of this question, we're leaving it as that. How much profit have Currys PC World made on both the products? Question A. In the same box, can we also add in the second question? How much profit would they have made if their costs reduced by £10 each for the washing machines and the laptops, with the sales figures remaining the same? Task 7. Reducing costs. List 6 different types of costs a retail business will have to pay. Use the table to display your results. Use the first column on the left. Task 7.2. For each cost you've listed on the left-hand side, on the right hand of the table, suggest how a retailer could lower its costs. Task 8. There are many internet sites giving advice to small businesses on how to reduce costs. Carry out an internet search, your independent one, to find out what advice is given to retailers on reducing their costs, and write 3 pieces of advice below. Task 9, the final task, more of a revision really. We're looking at a description for each of the following financial objectives that we've covered. Break even, increasing sales revenue, increasing profit and reducing costs. Write your description in your own words in the table. Well done, you have completed the work list for Financial Objectives Lesson 7. You've got through all of that and you have completed the summary for all the Financial Objectives lessons. Well done.